Um, Welcome to the Meet the Community Advisory Board session. Is that up? Oh, crumbs, what did I just do? I pressed the wrong button. Sorry. No, I've done it a second time. Okay, can everybody see the slides?
Yeah.
So the community board was established in 2020, and this year we added 5 more people. So this is the current board. There's 15 of us, and myself and Matt Ritchie, co-chair the board, and Laurie Shepherd is the secretary. And we're distributed all over the world, which makes it fun when we have to schedule a Zoom time that we all meet. But we meet once a month. And our goal is to empower users and developers by coordinating training and outreach, and to try to enable a productive and respectable participation in Bioconductor. All of our governance documents are on the website. You can contact us on Slack at Community Advisory Board. There's a private channel for ourselves for the really boring discussions we have, and then there's the more interesting one that everybody is part of. You can also email us at cab@bioconductor.org, and we have a Google Calendar as well. What do? We meet once a month, which is 8 p.m. Japan time, 7 a.m. Eastern time on the second Thursday. And all of our minutes are on the website. And one of the main goals of 2020, our first year, was to try to get some funding to support our activities so we could really do what we hope we can do. And I have to say, we've been successful and hopefully successful in that endeavor. So Leo put in a grant and he was successful in that, and he has funded events in the community of bioinformaticians in CDSB, which will fund events in Mexico and in South America. I submitted a grant to the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, and we're hopeful about it. I'll tell you what it is, or at least what we're thinking of doing, so when we can get funding, what some ideas we have, and we'd really appreciate if you want to tell us what you think we should be doing as well. So part of this proposal is to develop our website with the idea that we have developers, we have beginners, and that they have different needs on the website, and to develop a website that is diverse and inclusive. So it supports multilingual integration, that it's video friendly and mobile friendly. The website that is there was developed well over 10 years ago. And although it has a lot of content, it isn't particularly mobile friendly, and it doesn't integrate well with the Twitter site or the YouTube site. And we think we can do a lot better to have a better welcome mat for people. And the second big goal of this was really to do community outreach and training. So when we asked people in all over the world, what do you want, training was the number one thing that we heard. So we really want to enhance the initiative started by Laurent Gatto and Charlotte Sorsen, where they actually really spearheaded the Bioconductor carpentries, which has been presented during this meeting. And the idea is to actually pay for gold membership of carpentries, so we can actually begin to train many more instructors for Bioconductor, and they can be located globally, and we can actually present training courses in local languages, and really enhance our outreach. And the other idea is to work with the CCSE to actually develop kind of a community manager. Okay, so we're only a year, 18 months now in existence. So we're trying to work out what we're doing all the time. And so we have started a GitHub page where we're putting issues up and trying to say, so it's clear what we're doing, and we welcome your contribution. Contact us, cab@bioconductor.org, contact us on Slack, open an issue, comment on issues. We're working for all of us in the community. So going back to our purpose, to empower user development communities by coordinating training and outreach is goal number one. So how are we doing that? We're thinking of events, training, and language support. So One of the things that we've recently started to work on is think of how can we start providing core bioconductor documentation in different languages. And Leonardo and Kozo have really spearheaded this, and we're incredibly grateful. And so we're beginning to, for BioC Manager, we're trying to write that now in the messages in that in multiple languages. So when people use it in R, the messages that they can get back, where this is what the beginners will be using, and we really need to think that different languages need to be supported. At the moment, where there's English, Mandarin, and Japanese being supported for BioC Asia. The code of conduct is now available in Japanese and Mandarin, and I think, Leo, is it Spanish as well? Chime in if I'm wrong there. And so this is a big initiative, and we welcome your input here. Leo leads the community of bioinformatics software developers in Mexico, and they've done phenomenal work. They had a meeting in 2021. They've had multiple long workshops. Leo's got his own funding to support all of this, and this is really making differences on the ground. Equally, Kozo is working in Japan, providing Japanese translation of bioconductor documents. This year, BioC Asia in 2021 will be in Asia, and this is the sticker plans, and the website will be up soon. He's also running Biopackathon, where there's meetings on specific aspects of Bioconductor on a regular basis, and all of the videos of these are available. With Yagub, we've been working to enhance bioconductor training in Africa, and thanks to his suggestion, we worked with H3 Africa this year, and Sean Davis, Ben Abenkan's Levi, and Chloe presented 2 workshops, one on introduction to annotation in R, and another on epigenetics, which was very well received, and each had over 100 participants. The Meetups program kind of hibernated during the pandemic, and that's kind of, myself and Levi have been the ones running that up to now. I kind of thought a lot of people had enough of Zoom, and we didn't do much with it this year. But we'd love more volunteers. Both groups have over 800 members. Kozo's doing a phenomenal job on getting the calendar up on the website, and hopefully this video, we can't be loaded. Wait a second. Let's see. Maybe if I go out of this screen and refresh the thing. Okay, here we go. Can you see this? Oh no, it's come back to the start. That's what refresh screen does. I can't see the Q&A here. Have people got any questions while I'm going back to Kozo's video?
There hasn't been any entered yet.
Okay, where are we? Okay, we're here. Okay, let's see if this video will work. So he created a video to show how to put your, it doesn't want to load it.
Yeah,
Kevin left a message.
Sorry.
Okay.
I was just going to say, Kevin left a message that it needed to be in presenter mode when he was testing.
Yeah, I was in present mode. Let me try again. It's saying it can't be loaded.
I don't know what to suggest. Yeah, sorry. That's the only way it worked. It was in presenter mode. I haven't seen that yet, so sorry.
It worked for me when I tested it as well earlier. What we will do is we'll make available these slides, and you can see it in your own web browsers. If people want to just do a screenshot of that and put it in, I can put it in at the last slide again. Basically, if you go to the web browser, I'll just try and go out here. In Bioconductor contributions here, there's, this is how to do the package. This isn't, okay. I will not do this because I will get it wrong. Basically, it's how to actually upload events into the calendar. Okay, you just submit a pull request onto the issues. Okay. The other things that have been happening is we've been trying to support the Education Committee with Lauren and Charlotte. We've been attending kind of their monthly meetings. It's mostly been Susan attending the meetings, and we're trying to help facilitate the carpentries education and the formation of the different lessons with the carpentries. Susan has been working with the F1000. We now have a brand new logo and more support for language. We're trying to get support for different languages on F1000 for Bioconductor. One of the things that we've spearheaded as well is trying to support developers. And so there's 3 different aspects to this, and one is the developer forum, another is working with the package review group, and the final thing is mentorship. And I'll just go through each of these. So the developers forum is amazing, and it's run by the formidable Mike Smith, who has really taken this on and done so much work. Every month there's a forum on really exciting aspects of will be of interest to developers, and they have 21 meetings so far. So if you go to the YouTube Bioconductor site, you'll find a playlist with all of the developers forums meetings. Mike would love if somebody else would help him in organizing of it. So if you are a developer, if you've benefited from the forum, please consider signing up and helping. The Laurie and Kevin and a whole load more people on both the TAB and the CAB have worked on reviewing the package guidelines, and they've created a reviewing system that will now be open, where members of the community can review packages and work with the core team to review. So please sign up to be a reviewer and assist them in the process. It'll be a great way for you to also learn about the intricacies of Bioconductor code. One of the things we've also been keen to do is to support new developers, and this I'm so excited about. So I know when I wrote my first package, I thought it was daunting, and I've seen so many people being daunted at the process of going from script to package, but that's where we need to get to. So this idea is that we take experienced package developers. You have to have at least 1 package in Bioconductor and an interest in mentoring novice developers. And the idea is to work with them during the development cycle from October to April, from April to October, and basically help them get from script to package that's passing first our command check and then BioC check. And this will be a group mentorship packet program where developers and mentors can help each other, hopefully. And we can hopefully also write some bits of documentation to assist developers. If you want to be a mentor, please join the developers mentorship Slack channel. Or if you want to sign up, this form for expression of interest is bit.ly BioCdevel. So the other aspect of the goal of the CAB is to enable productive and respectful participation by Bioconductor users and developers at all experience levels. So how are we doing that? The first thing is code of conduct, and the second thing is trying to recognize people, making sure there's representation, and also to celebrate. So we've created Slack channels like Humble Brag. We created a jobs board. We're trying to think of what are the other things that we need to make a vibrant community. So the code of conduct has done phenomenal under the leadership of Saskia Freitag here. She has been absolutely outstanding and has created a project-wide code of conduct that now governs not just our meetings, but our communication via Slack and other forms as well, and on GitHub issues. And the idea of the code of conduct is support diversity, inclusivity, and it should support a kind and welcoming environment, and prohibiting discrimination, harassment, bullying, mocking, trolling, or disruptive behavior. And there's two aspects of this that I think that's really important. And one, of course, is, recognizing traditional discrimination, maybe for minority groups. But the second, I think, is intellectual bullying. That my code is better than your code, or, oh, you come from a Python background or an R background or whatever, or some academic discipline. So I think we need to be as welcoming as possible and accepting that people come in with different skills that may be incredibly valuable. Joe has been a powerhouse in developing the stickers that we also love and adore. And I'm incredibly excited to see like the BioC teaching and the one for H3 Africa and the 20th anniversary sticker. And of course, I think we missed the 2021 sticker here. Whoops. But he's created a ton of stickers this year. And these were 2020. Whoops, we missed the 2021 ones. Okay, typo on the slide. And Laurie headed up the BioC Awards this year. And thank you for doing that, Laurie. I feel a bit, the amazing people were recognized: Lauren and Charlotte, James and Leonardo, and somebody else. And do we have time to do this? I really want to do this. Should we go for it? So we want to celebrate 20 years of Bioconductor. So I'm going to put in the music, the slides, because it's not loading up on mine. Can somebody else do it? I can try again.
I was just loading them.
Okay, they are actually showing. Wait a second, they're showing now. Okay, just a second. Okay.
And can we add in, while people are watching slides, if anyone has questions for the CAB or about any of the presentations or working groups or slides you have, please ask questions in the Q&A or in the chat while we're looking at the slides.
Yeah, so we're going to put the slides on. Wait a second, Chrome tab. 20 years. Okay, so this should be working now. So let's go back to the start. Okay, cool. So that should now be showing. And if we can do questions and everything else during this, and we can enjoy the slides at the same time, because these are so cool. So should we start asking questions ourselves, or is there questions there?
I don't see any questions yet, so maybe we can propose some questions.
So like one question I think it's kind of good is to ask people how you joined the CAB or why you joined the CAB. Would somebody like to comment on that? This is a great one, Matt.
Well, I know I joined the CAB because I wanted to get back to the community. Being on the core team and behind the scenes, you realize that you need input from the community to keep the project going and to keep the community growing. So for me, it was to try to engage more of the community, try to understand what they thought our strengths and our weaknesses were and are, and to keep the project moving forward.
Does somebody want to talk about like what the process is of joining the CAB?
Aideen, we do have a couple questions I can read for people to answer.
I can either share my screen or I can see what's happening. I can't see what's happening if I share the screen.
That's fine. So James Walters asked, what are the meetups and what happened there?
So the meetups, I can talk about the Boston meetup. So the Boston meetup, we've run for about 4 or 5 years. and it was a meeting every 6 weeks, and we've had between maybe, actually, incidentally, the lowest turnout has been for some of the workshops where we're doing all of the hands-on stuff. And then the highest turnout has been for some of, like, when Martin came or when JJ Lair came. And there's been maybe 120 then. And we've done them every 6 weeks, and mostly at the Farber. And it's normally 2 talks from, I tried to get people from different institutes talking about a topic. So single-cell transcriptomics, integration of data. But during the past year, we didn't do any virtual meetings. We just stopped. I was kind of hoping that we'd be back to in-person meetings and that the pandemic wouldn't last quite as long as it did. So hopefully we'll come back soon, and maybe we have to consider doing virtual meetings if the pandemic is continues to be prolonged.
I think we were all hoping that we would be back to in-person meetings by now. The next question is from Krutik Patel. How experienced does someone need to be to join the Bioconductor CAB or TAB?
Yeah, who wants to answer that one? Can some of the new people maybe join? Maybe answer that. Does Kevin want to answer it, or Kozo, or Kozo's been for a year?
Yeah, I can take that one. So I think a good knowledge of the Bioconductor project. So having been around the project for a few years does obviously help. So for me, I've been a user since 2011, I would say, but I don't think there's really a proper lower limit. I think it really comes from enthusiasm and really the wish to help people around you. So that's I think that what really helped me participate in the CAB is not so much being skilled at developing packages and knowing codes in and out. Is really the same thing that attracted me to Bioconductor, which is the community that I meet at every conference, and just enjoying that and wanting to essentially contribute to that good feeling that people have when they enter the conference and when they try to discover when they read the material. So thinking what's good teaching, that's really the thing that drives me, both work-wise, so in Oxford, and for Bioconductor in the teaching committee, is enthusiasm is the first, I would say, the first thing that you need to have. And then experience, yes, of course, if you know a little bit what the Bioconductor, the different parts of the Bioconductor website, the support website, and those things. And then actually having new ideas, just saying, oh, the thing, Bioconductor is great as it is, but something that I feel would make it even better would be this and that. And just bringing this idea and driving it is also a nice way to sort of get close to the CAB and maybe get on the CAB in future years. How often do we rotate it in?
So the first year was slightly different, but the idea is to rotate 5 members every year. I think it's 5, isn't it? I think it's 5. I think it's 5 every year. With and of course, somebody who is on the CAB can be re-elected. But I think when we looked at like nominations, it was diversity as far as geography, language, experience. Like, we want people who are junior as well as people who are senior. We want a broad range of people. The CAB should represent the community. It should have a wide range of voices. So you don't necessarily need to have tons of experience.
I don't think I'm experienced. I think the important thing is how much you can contribute to the community. That's all. About critics question.
Okay, we do have another question from Levi. Are there any big new CAB projects or plans on the horizon?
maybe I can also take that up, because Laurent and I were discussing a little bit. Well, it's not really we're not decided if it's a CAP project or a TAP project in the end, but it's more getting to know a little bit or basically bringing people working with mass spec data closer together and trying to organize something for, let's say, the mass spec community, because in Bioconductor at the moment there's a lot for RNA-seq, DNA, genomic data, but I have the feeling mass spectrometry is a little bit underrepresented, and also that the infrastructure is not really ideal. So we also then tried to see if there is an interest to make some meetups or discussion forums or something like that, just to get a feeling what the community feels about that type of data. But it's not yet proposed, so this is just an idea, but it might be big, maybe.
I was going to add that I know that Jakob, who's on the advisory board, is keen to have a BioC Africa event. So I guess that would be, whether that's virtual or in person, but sometime in the future have similar types of events to this one that occur also in Asia, which COSO is organizing this year, and in Europe, which happen for a long time in other parts of the world. So I think that's pretty exciting.
Okay, and Leo Lottie asked, what did you consider the biggest challenge when joining the CAB as a new member?
Time zones. Somebody else might have other ideas as well. Do any of the people who joined this year want to comment on that?
If everyone's shy, I was just going to actually answer, just probably not what you'd expect, but saying that the existing CAB members made it so seamless, really, to join in and get on board on the different working groups. Really, there's a lot of ideas on the CAB already, and so essentially joining, it was almost obvious. Oh, I can help here, I can help there. So I guess one thing is to sort of make sure that I can contribute properly to the thing that I sign up for. But there's lots of ideas, and yeah, I would have said it's maybe the challenge is to choose from all of those, if that's it. So we do have this Google Doc. I don't know if it's open to the world. Remind me, but with the minutes of the meetings. So we publish them every month. So you can essentially browse through that, and I guess it's maybe sifting a little bit through what the ideas were and catching up with that and just deciding where to go. But again, the existing members sort of joining in the first meeting was, okay, this is happening, that's happening. I can start helping here, I can start helping there. So to me, I can't really think of a challenge apart from just, following the move and getting up to speed and at my rhythm.
For me, overcoming the language barrier is biggest challenge. But that's why I think I can translate documents and can be kinder to people who don't speak English.
I think that one of the challenges is we have a tendency to think if it's not broken, we shouldn't fix it. So we're a bit static. And the dynamics of saying, okay, we think that maybe the website isn't as good as it could be because the sort of web presence and design evolves over time. And those of us who've been using the same site a long time, we're just used to it. We don't see it with fresh eyes. So it's very important that we have new people who say, you know, this website, you can't navigate it. It's not at all modern. It's not useful. There's not enough, you know, ways of using it on the phone or on the tablet. And so I think the challenge is to allow yourself to listen to the dynamics.
And I think that's one thing we really need to maybe work on and think, how can we do, is communication with the vast number of people that use Bioconductor, because we only hear a small fraction of problems that people have. And just because people aren't voicing them doesn't mean that there's something that's a complete pain. It's kind of like the plane coming back with all the bullet holes. You don't hear about all the people that went to the Bioconductor site, couldn't make head nor tail for it, and never started with Bioconductor. So where are we losing people? We probably won't find out by asking the experts. We only find out by actually, you know, going out there in the community and working out where the problems are. And I think, you know, that welcome mat is something that we need to work on. And there's, you know, that's a lot of what we spend our time thinking on, is how can we make the project as inclusive for everybody that needs to use this, because, you know, making access to genomic data is so important.
Okay, we do have another question, which I can show. Kevin did answer it in the chat, but just in case people haven't seen that. Oh, sorry. Here we go.
Yes. Matt, do you want to chime in here a bit?
Yeah, I guess as you saw from Adine's slides, a lot of the committees are sort of, you know, the conference organizing committee is a good example. There are members on it from different advisory boards. There are members of the organizing committee who are, you know, just enthusiastic about organizing events. So absolutely. And likewise for the teaching committee that was mentioned. There are members from the TAB, the CAB, and other people excited about developing resources, carpentry's resources for it to support education. So yes, and hopefully some of the links that Adine's put in and give you an idea of how to check out what's happening on Slack or on the GitHub's working groups page, etc. And we'll put a link to the slides in the chat as well, so you can go back and use this as a resource in case you didn't have a chance to note down those details.
Thank you. There are a lot of links being posted in the chat, and we'll try and capture the chat for this session so that people can go back and refer to it later.
And if anyone, just to reiterate too, there is an open community advisory board Slack channel that people are welcome to suggest ideas and communicate with us about what their needs are as well.
Do anybody want, like, feel free to post in the chat or the, you know, your top, you know, the things that you're problems with, and maybe that, you know, better documentation could help, or things that you think that are most important. So feel free to post, or maybe how you can contribute. If you can contribute to translation, or if you can contribute to all the boards, please do help us. You know, this is, we're more than the sum of our parts when we work together.
Okay, and we had another question. Let's see if I can get this on stage. Do you have current or future plans to collaborate with other R community groups like the R Ladies?
We've got a couple of our ladies on the board. Laurie and Saskia are both our ladies. Do you want to comment on that?
Don't have much to say on that. The Buffalo chapter, also with the pandemic, kind of took a hit for the meetups and for organizing. I'm not sure if Saskia has any more to say about that. I don't think she's here tonight or today or all the different time zones, whatever time zone it is where she's at. I mean, I think in general, the Community Advisory Board wants to be inclusive and would love input from other organizations as well to see how they've overcome or been more diverse and have grown along the way too.
Yeah, I've definitely reached out to Our Ladies groups. I'm friendly with the Our Ladies person in Boston, Mariana, and we work together. A lot of the people who are in Bioconductor are also members of Our Ladies. So it's not like the two are completely exclusive groups. And I've also reached out to our Open Sci, their community manager. Bioconductor also working with the other groups as well. Just, the more we can learn from other groups and how they're doing things is actually always good. And yes, I think we could benefit from probably some of the Our Ladies infrastructure and their GitHub, and we've considered at different stages doing BioC Ladies, but I don't know. I've had mixed reactions on that. Some people think, oh, in the big towns, people think that might be good, but in smaller communities, people say that would be too small a group. And keeping the Bioconductor folks are members of Our Ladies anyway. So I don't know. I'd appreciate your feedback on that. And if people want to comment and come up on stage, please do raise a hand as well.
I just wanted to add as well, at the recent user that was virtual, we had a great session with other people who wanted to get more enthusiasm, more community building happening in Asia. So Chinani Ravi and others organized that session. It was very exciting to go along and share our experience organizing events by IC Asia for the past few years. And so, yeah, I think it's great to be connected to people enthusiastic about using R and hopefully Bioconductor by extension to have more people participate at our BioC Asia events.
I'm in the Japanese carpentries committee, and I'm also trying to become a carpentries instructor, and I'm trying to give that experience back to the Bioconductor teaching group.
I think there's another question here. Less of a question, more of a comment. When I was developing my package, I would have benefited from learning about the Slack and YouTube channels. These weren't pointed to on the Bioconductor contributors page, which I used as my main resource. 100%, we recognize that. That's like, my students, all of our students, myself when I forget what I'm doing, which is most of the time. I know that. So we're doing a lot of things. So we've started a new contributors guide, which is looks a lot nicer. It's linked to from the new developer mentorship Slack channel. And the idea is to build a couple of new web pages for developers. So these resources are linked, and there's going to be a web page as well for the developers forum, so people find that more easily. And then with this new mentorship program that we're trying to start up, the idea here is that the mentors and the mentees will work together and find the gaps. So when you're mentoring somebody, you realize the problems that they have, and that then they'll report back to us, and hopefully together we'll improve the experience for everybody.
And we're hoping with that new, the new page of guidelines, we're hoping to move more of those developer type resources into that guidelines and have it become like the main source and include these links and really try to revamp it as well.
Yeah, and if you want to contribute to documentation, that would be fantastic. Or if you want to be a mentor on the new mentorship program and assist, because the people who had the problems are the people that can help solve the problems. There's another question. Would there be an opportunity to visit one of the CAB meetings before being part of it? We do have guests turn up. I can't see.
I don't think we've thought about it, right?
We do invite guests to the meetings like pretty frequently if somebody can help with a certain thing. I expect if we had lots of people, it might be difficult but I can't see a particular problem with. I don't know. We probably have to. Is that something we'd need to vote on? I don't know.
We promise it will be discussed at the next meeting.
We'll put it on the agenda. You can always read the minutes as well.
And I think we have one last question before we have to close out the session.
Great question. You can contact CAB at bioconductor.org, or even better, to start a discussion on the Slack Community Advisory Board channel in Slack. Those are probably the two best ways. What do we think? Anything else I've forgotten about?
I was just checking the website. I don't know if you mentioned the CAB at bioconductor.org in your sentence. So there is the page about the CAB on the BioC website, and it does mention the CAB at bioconductor.org. But yeah, you're welcome on the Slack. That's much more. You'll always find one of us there.
No matter what time zone you're in, right?
Exactly. There has to be some advantages to that.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody, all of the members of the CAB who were here today and shared their thoughts. We are up against time, and we are in the final hours of our 2021 conference. So stick with us. The lightning talks are up next in 15 minutes, and we hope to see you all there. Thank you.
Bye-bye.